This is my chair, the nap chair my kids call it. That is my blanket. And for most of last year, every afternoon around 3 o'clock, that chair won. I am 72, and I want to tell you about the nap that scared me into my doctor's office, and the 20 minutes that fixed it. Because almost everything you have heard about napping after 65 is backwards. If you are new here, my name is Frank. I am 72, and last time I showed you 5 bills you might not have to pay. Today is not about money. Today is about the thing I was more embarrassed to talk about than money. Here is what we are going to do. First, I will tell you what my nap was doing that I ignored for almost a year. Then, the 5 signs, 5 ways a nap is not just a nap, but your body leaving you a note. I had 2 of those 5 myself. And then the part I promised, what the doctor actually said, and the 20-minute recipe I use now. Stay with me to the end, because the last sign is the one everybody laughs off at the diner, and it is the one that matters most. Now, before the first sign, let me tell you what most folks our age get wrong. We treat the afternoon nap like a character flaw, like something to confess. My father worked 41 years, and I never once saw that man lie down in daylight. He thought a nap was the beginning of the end. And today's headlines are not much better. Long naps linked to this, daytime sleep linked to that. So we fight it, we feel guilty about it, and we never ask the one useful question. The question is not, is napping good or bad? The question is, what is my nap trying to tell me? I have noticed the folks who ask that second question are the ones who do their 70s well. A nap is not a verdict. It is a message. And messages can be read. And here is something useful right now, before any of the signs, the single change that fixes most bad naps on its own. Nap before 2 in the afternoon and keep it under 30 minutes. That is it. That is the whole trick for most people. Set a timer, 20, 25 minutes, not more. After 30, your brain drops into the deep part of sleep, and waking up out of that is why you have felt like a wet bag of sand at 4 o'clock. The doctor has a name for it, sleep inertia. It is not your age doing that. It is the length, 20 minutes before 2. Free, and you can test it today. Now, how I learned those signs the hard way, because some naps are not fixed by a timer. Last spring, my naps changed. I did not pick the chair anymore, and the chair picked me. 2:45 every day like a tide, and these were not naps. They were blackouts with a blanket. An hour and a half. I woke up with a dry mouth and a headache, foggy until supper. Margaret, my wife, I lost her 4 years back, would have caught it in a week. It took me 11 months. Sign 1. A new need to nap. Not the pleasant Sunday doze you have had for 20 years. A sudden change where the afternoon starts taking you whether you agree to it or not. When something that was optional becomes mandatory, that is not laziness. That is new, and new means pay attention. Sign 2. And this was me. The nap that does not refresh. A good nap is like plugging the phone in for a bit. You come back up with more charge. If you sleep an hour and wake up foggier than you went down with a headache, that battery is not charging. Something is interrupting the charge. Hold that thought, because sign 5 is where I found my interruption. Sign 3. The nap that keeps moving later. 3 o'clock becomes 4:30. 4:30 becomes after supper, and then you are awake at 2 in the morning staring at the ceiling fan, and the whole next day tilts. That is not one bad nap. That is your body clock slipping its gears, and it feeds on itself. Sign 4. You do not decide to sleep. Sleep just takes you, mid-television, mid-sentence, once at the diner, and the fellows there have never let me forget it. Nodding off in the middle of life is different from choosing to rest, and the difference matters to a doctor. And sign 5, the one from the title. One afternoon in March, I woke up in that chair because I heard something, a snort, loud like a chair scraping. It was me. And the look on my neighbor's boy's face, he was on the porch through the window, told me it was not the first time, just the first time I caught it. At the diner, that is a joke. Frank, you could saw lumber for a living. Everybody laughs it off. But snoring, gasping, choking sounds in daytime sleep, somebody your age, that is not a punchline. That is the one that made me call the office I had been avoiding for a year. So here's what I promised, what the doctor actually said. 2 things were stacking on top of each other. The first, the timing of one of my blood pressure pills. I took it after lunch, and drowsiness is listed right there on the sheet I never read. We moved it to the evening, with his sign-off. Not mine, you do not rearrange pills on your own. And a third of the problem left that week. The second, he sent me for a sleep test for the snorting, and worth knowing for your own visit. Medicare covered mine because he was the one who ordered it. Sleep apnea, mild in my case. There was my interruption from sign 2, a little machine, some adjustments, and I will spare you the romance of it. But understand what that means. My hour-and-a-half blackout naps were not a character flaw and not just age. They were 2 findable, fixable things, leaving notes in my chair every afternoon for a year, while I felt guilty instead of curious. And here is what set me straight really means. A few weeks after the second fix, I sat down in that chair, slept my 20 minutes, and got up feeling like myself again. I have not apologized for that chair since. Now the recipe I use, and the reason there is a kitchen timer on the armrest of that chair, you have been looking at it this whole time. 20 minutes. That is what it is set to. Before 2 o'clock, never after. In the chair, not the bed. The bed tells your brain it is nighttime. And if the timer rings and I have not slept, fine. Eyes closed in a quiet chair is still rest. The timer is not there to limit the nap. It is there so the nap cannot lie to me about what it is. Now, you have heard it said at the diner, in a headline, maybe from your own kids, that naps shorten your life. Here is what the studies actually show, and I want to be straight about it. People who suddenly need long naps every day do, on average, have more health trouble ahead. But the nap is the smoke alarm, not the fire. Blaming the nap for the illness is like blaming the alarm for the kitchen smoke. Nobody ever fixed a fire by unplugging the alarm. You read the message and you take it to somebody qualified to answer it. And ask yourself why nobody ever explained this to you in plain words. Nobody is paying me to say any of this. Not a mattress company, not a supplement bottle, not one of those gadgets that watches you sleep. There is no money in telling a man to set a kitchen timer and call his own doctor. A free nap, done right, has no salesman. That is the whole reason you have never heard a commercial for it. I will not pile fear on you. The channels that do that are selling something. I will just say this. The year I spent embarrassed about that chair was a year 2 fixable things went unfixed. Untreated sleep trouble at our age wears on the heart, the memory, the balance. The exact 3 things we are all trying to keep. The chair was never the problem. The silence about it was. So, one more time short, a nap is a message, not a verdict. 20 minutes before 2, in a chair, timer set. And 5 signs it is more than a nap. A need that is suddenly new. Waking foggier than you lay down. The nap drifting later and stealing your nights. Sleep that takes you instead of asking, and any snoring, snorting, or gasping, the diner joke that is not a joke. 2 of those 5 were me. Both fixable. Both found because I finally asked. These days, the timer rings, I get up clear, and the afternoon is mine again. Your turn. Tell me in the comments your age, and which of the 5 signs you have seen in your own chair, or your husband's, or your wife's. I read every one. And if this helped, pass it to one person who jokes about their napping. The joke is usually the sign. There is more I want to tell you. About the mail, about the diner, about the things nobody explains in plain words until it costs you. That is what this porch is for. So subscribe if you want a seat, and I will keep showing up. Until then, look after your money, look after your knees, and call your kids.